Hey cats, it's yay or nay time. With only about 7 weeks of the year to go, the fire running shoes keep on stacking up. More decisions need to be made. Which do I buy? Which do I leave on the shelf? I got a whole bunch in for testing already, but still the midsoles come calling. It's the A or nay time today. I'm going to let you know which shoes I'm going to be picking up for review, or which ones I'm going to be leaving for another shoe tuber to perhaps do more justice to. We've got some daily stuff today, some longer run stuff, even a few speed slippers. Let's open the gate and let the horse free. Yay or nay, incoming. Hey friends, thanks for the support and tuning into the channel, it's always appreciated. If you're yet to do so, hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like, and also share this video with your running buddies. Super thanks are also very well received. They keep the shoe supply nice and stabilized, I suppose. Shoe number one today is the Nike Vomero 17. Now the swoosh had better not mess up here. I really enjoyed the Vomero 16 last year. One of my favourite shoes for a long time, and it also worked as a daily model. Reasonable cushion, a little hint of stability there, and a long run option too. It had a nice serviceable outsole. Quite the changes here in the Vomero 17, with a seemingly less present profile around the heel area. There's a little bit less padding there, certainly in the tongue, which looks like it's been lifted straight off of the Invincible run original. Looks like they've just slapped that onto this shoe. Maybe they had loads of those left in the factory and thought, may as well use them up. The upper is simplified with only a couple of lace loops either side of the tongue. Certainly some upper vibes from the current Invincible 2, and the toe box does look close to the material used on the Vaporfly Next Percent 2. Sort of that chainmail-like appearance. There's various areas of the upper there that just seem a little bit more breathable than the one we had in the Vomero 16. Midsole wise, I can't decide if this is like a Zoom X section on top of something else, perhaps React below that. Could be something else. It might be that SRO2 stuff once again that we saw in the last model. The texture of that lower section though, it does look something like we saw in the Pegasus Trail 3. Also as well, we saw something similar in the midsole of the Zigama as well, that trail shoe that was something I've tried to forget. I can't quite make out if it's crushed up Zoom X there in its pellet-like form or standard foam. It's certainly quite creased already, and we see a line painted perhaps on top of that part of the midsole. It does look pretty terrible and rough, and we've seen that certainly in the past where Nike have tried to paint sections of it. I think that was in the Ekiden version of the Next Percent a few years back. It does look as if the person that painted it had drunk far too many espressos. There's some waffle-like sections on the outsole with several parts splitting the forefoot, with a larger section through the heel to midfoot. The cutout there towards the back of the outsole does remind me a little bit of the current Pegasus 39. There's some interesting changes here, and I'm not surprised to see a big midsole change. Nike tend to stick with 2 iterations of a shoe with the same midsole. I liked the 16 and I feel inclined to try out the 17 when it does drop. I'm not entirely sure when that's going to be. So it's a yay for the Nike Vomero 17. Shoe 2. Next up, the Rebel V3 from New Balance. Another week, another FUELCEL shoe. They seem to be very plentiful, but I've got to be honest, this time around I'm none the wiser as to what the Rebel actually is, really. I mean, it started out as quite a low stack, very responsive speed shoe. The Rebel 2 certainly wasn't that, really. The application of FUELCEL there was very squashy. It just made it a bit taxing to run in past a certain distance, because you didn't have any sort of plate there to give it some rigidity. More like a daily type easy shoe, like a 2/3 Invincible run. So what is this new model? The V3 seems to be a subtle iteration from the V2, a very similar midsole profile by all accounts, similar heel flare, very similar lacing and upper lifted from the race-like mesh found in the SC Pacer and the SC Elite 3. Though I am seeing a similar outsole pattern here to the sadly lacking one that I found in the SC Pacer. Maybe the additional rubber will improve that here in the Rebel 3. It's almost like you can categorise the shoes now a little bit more by the midsole stack. SC Pacer, Rebel V3, then the SC Elite 3 and the SC Trainer. I wonder what happened to the RC. We may never know. On further inspection of the weights, it seems the Rebel V3 may have gained a gram or two, but nothing to write home about. I think the midsole drop seems to have remained pretty much exactly the same from the last one, but I'm sure New Balance are keen to tell us that that may vary due to manufacturing processes like they always do. At least the outsole has been switched up a little here. The last one was okay, but a debris magnet, and it wore down alarmingly quickly. The Rebel V2 actually garnered a lot of interest on the channel. Loads of people watched my initial review of that one. I just never really felt that inclined to actually take it up any further than about 60 or 70 miles. Just didn't really find a true space in my training shoe rotation. I'm a little on the fence this one. I'm going to give it a horse till somewhere in the middle. Just doesn't seem all that different really to the Rebel V2. And I've got to be honest, trying to bring a shoe with such similar semblance to the Rebel V2 could alert the ever knowledgeable Mrs. EDDBUD to have a stern word with me. Shoe 3. Now, a shoe that has been rumoured for a fair old time. I think I first covered this in a yay or nay. Might have been back in like March of this year. The Adizero SL seems to be available on a couple of odd online stores. I'm seeing a profile here very similar to the Adizero Adios Pro 3. Perhaps a more daily use version of that shoe without all of the Light Strike Pro. We've got a mainly Light Strike midsole here with what appears to be a Light Strike Pro section in the forefoot area. You can see that visible on the outsole only by the two cutouts in the lateral and middle of the front area. Grip appears to be very similar here in the SL to the Adios 7. Certainly in terms of shape and pattern, those fantastic grooves and trenches for great grip. Odd we haven't heard more about this shoe anywhere. It just seems to have surfaced on a couple of small sites. It's actually a slot and category that isn't really filled at the moment for Adidas. Something a little bit lighter, something you can use perhaps on a more daily basis that doesn't have boost in it. The slab of Light Strike we had in the SL 20.2 was a massive letdown. This one could remedy all the issues I had with that shoe. By all accounts, a 35mm heel stack here, 25 in the forefoot, making for a 10mm drop heel to toe. A contender to place up against the Pegasus Energy 4, Cumulus and Velocity Nitro perhaps. I hope to see this one launch very soon in the UK. I think it might be a few weeks time. I shall certainly be picking this one up from Adidas. A yay for the Adizero SL. Shoe 4. Next up, my footwear friends, I tantalise and beguile you with another New Balance shoe. This is the 860 V13, just launched. I haven't grabbed a New Balance numbered entry in an eternity. We've got Fresh Foam X here in the midsole. This is supposed to be a stability model by all accounts from the numbering system. I think the higher numbers offer less stability, whereas the lower ones indicate higher stability, such as a 40 or 50 model. New Balance have used their no-sew upper here, one I think that they've also used in things like the 1080. They suggest that that helps to reduce irritation around the foot, just less stitched areas. Those seem to be places where people get a lot of rubbing. The stability element here is a medial post to give some control on foot strike, making this one perhaps one for the daily users needing a little extra guidance. Maybe you've got a slight pronation issue, the 860 could be ideal for that. The lugs on the outsole are certainly more reminiscent of the Beacon model from a few years back. That's long gone now. There's quite some spacing between the rubber segments, and I do fear that on my local routes there's a lot of loose stones that could get caught up there. I remember that being a particular problem with the Beacon. Quite a few design elements of this shoe do remind me of the Nimbus 24, including that medial post in fact, and the profile of the shoe. I'm not sure I can really do justice to this one, guys. I don't necessarily need a stability shoe, certainly with something so solid in the medial side, although it does appear to be a reasonably subtle implementation of that stability idea. The 309 grams or 10.9 ounces of weight also is a little off-putting in the sample size. In my size, that's going to be up to 340, 350. I just don't need a shoe for daily use of that weight, especially using the Fresh Foam X. So it's a nay for me on this New Balance offering, the 860 V13. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on these 4 shoes in today's Yay or Nay. Also go and vote in my open poll on the community section of the YouTube channel right now, trying to suss out which shoe is probably best to pick up before Christmas for another review. I think in the lead at the moment is the Asics Super Blast, and quite a way behind it, the New Balance SC Elite 3. Time for a musical interlude. This one comes from a band that I've just found. I can't believe I wasn't aware of them. They're called the Lemon Twigs. I actually picked up on this one from watching the fantastic Justin Hawkins Rides Again channel. That guy has always been a bit of a hero of mine right from when I first bought his singles. And now on YouTube he's an absolute legend. The Lemon Twigs are made up of two brothers who are fantastic musicians and singers. Best track, and one that I've listened to many times already, is called I Want to Prove to You. The best version that I found is a live one, in fact, from TV. Stephen Colbert's channel. They performed this back a few years ago now. I think it was probably released 2016. It's a wonderful song, reminiscent of some of those sort of 50s, 60s ballads. There's certainly that British invasion vibe about things, and some fantastic drumming there. I believe it's one of the brothers, kind of plays a little bit like Keith Moon. The vocals, the guitars, everything about it's wonderful. Some lovely orchestration as well. All the tracks these guys do seem to be different. Pretty much every song is this different sort of vibe, a different approach. Never gets boring. I think they got about 3 albums out there. Go and check them out. Fantastic band, the Lemon Twigs. I can't quite understand why they're not more popular than they are. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button, click the bell below for notifications. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you